you're a CEO, you're a musician. Any other traits that I should be scared about as a CEO myself?
Not really. I think it's great to kind of be with you.
Is Swamy a marketer at heart and technologist for the brain, or vice versa?
We call ourselves a marketing experience consulting firm. But what we really believe is that there is design with data, with tech.
Do you truly believe that customers are ready? And if so, what are some of the key sort of success metrics?
The need for getting digital into the center of their business is actually the challenge that they are facing.
Swamy, thank you for making time for Greyhound TV. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for inviting me.
So, I have to tell you, there are few conversations which are damn interesting, but this is actually exclusive and special for me. I'm speaking to somebody who has legacy at home. Can you actually tell the viewers of the legacy and why actually you're the marketer's dream come true, or let's say you're the musician to their lives? Can you tell the audience, please?
I come from a family where my father is a legendary Indian percussionist. He practices the music from the south of India, which is called Carnatic music. And basically, the great thing about marketing today, they keep telling me it's an art and science. Mm-hmm. Maybe I have 50% of it already in my family, so I think it works for me.
And are you a musician yourself?
Yeah, I'm a musician. I kind of play on the instrument. I play concerts.
Wow, nice.
And I've accompanied my dad in concerts.
Where was the last time you played?
I played in Brussels, in Belgium.
Wow, that's exotic,
Yeah.
You're a CEO, you're a musician. Any other traits that I should be scared about as a CEO myself?
Not really. I think it's great to kind of be with you and really understand, the kind of questions that you're going to ask me, and maybe a few of them I'll be able to kind of talk to you about my experience of dealing with these clients.
Excellent.
And business.
Excellent. So let me pose to you the hardest question I have for today for you. So tell me about Hansa Cequity. Is it a marketing advertising creatives firm, or is it actually a marketing technology firm? And a harder question, is Swamy a marketer at heart and technologist for the brain, or vice versa?
Tough question. I think let me kind of go back to my, lineage in my profession. For the first 15 years of my life, I actually was an advertising professional.
Wow, okay.
I used to work for WPP, so I kind of worked with the creative side of marketing.
Right.
I think the next 15 years, I worked on the technology side of marketing.
Right.
So if you really look at Hansa Cequity, I would say we are a firm. We call ourselves a marketing experience consulting firm.
Marketing
experience consulting firm, because what we really believe
Right.
is that there is design with data, with tech, and you need to bring all of these together. And therefore, the art and science of fusion is really where I think the experience comes alive at touch points.
You're truly a musician, right? It's a fusion and all of that.
But that's really how it works.
Right.
And therefore, you need to really bring in the creativity. Mm-hmm. And you need to bring in the workflows.
Okay.
And therefore, that's really what Cequity is all about. Cequity is really a marketing experience consulting firm. And the way I kind of talk about it is, we have, experienced consultants in our company. We have experienced developers.
Right.
We have experienced architects.
Right.
Okay. And we've got experienced, business guys. Basically, the whole idea is to kind of actually bring in the art of imagination and the art of actually process and technology, and you need to kind of get them together, and that's the firm that we have built at Cequity.
Wonderful. Swamy, thank you. That was wonderful. But tell me, there's so much going on in India and sort of like a overbeaten track. Mm-hmm. When everybody says digital is here, we are going to do digital. But in your experience of working with some of the largest customers in the country, do you truly believe that customers are ready? And if so, what are some of the key sort of success metrics or key successful projects that you've done at Cequity that you can talk to us about?
Yeah, great. I think unlike say 4 or 5 years back,
right.
If I really look at the last 12 months, what I really see is a lot of my clients and a lot of the businesses that I kind of talk to, they believe that digital is getting into the core of their business.
Okay.
And actually, the real challenge for them is actually the fact that I would think that the competition is not coming from the traditional business, but it's actually coming from new players who are outside their industry.
Right.
So therefore, the need for getting digital into the center of their business is actually the challenge that they are facing.
But what does it mean for them, let's say? Does it mean new revenue? Does it mean new customer touch points? Does it mean employee experiences? Give us a sense. And also give us a sense as to what's changed in the last 12 months, if you see, because all of a sudden the chatter and the humdrum around digital is so loud that it's almost deafening. So what's changed in the last 12 months?
I think the reason why I think this whole momentum is actually getting increased is because I think the acquisition is a very important area, and India is a growing market. We're the fastest growing economy.
Right.
Therefore, the fact that I could kind of get these customers from the digital ecosystem is actually becoming more and more important for these clients.
Right.
So I think acquisition is a key area that they believe digital can deliver, and it delivers at a fairly good cost-effective method is the way they kind of look at it. The second one is actually the fact that you look at the whole journey.
Right.
So when you look at the whole journey, right from acquisition to growth to retention, digital can actually help you play that role in each of these experiences. And therefore, once I acquire the customer, how do I get better lifetime value out of the same customer? Therefore, how do you really work on the journey? How do you really put value against this customer and really organize the touch points? That's really where I think most of the focus is today.
But you made a very interesting point, and you said, India, there's a lot of scale. But when there is scale of that order, what you also actually have is a ton of data, right? And now we can go into angles about data, about privacy, security, and consent, but these are different topics altogether. But what I want to really get your focus on is that what sort of data do you think is being collected today by your customers, and how does that data help them sort of stitch the online to offline and the offline to the online story, and ultimately take the user and the consumer from content to actually consumption or commerce? Give us a sense of your clients, please.
I think that's a brilliant question. Most of my clients whom we work with, they actually have data across different touch points.
Right.
There is a CRM data, there is call center data, there is unstructured data, there is mobile data, there is data around sales. There's a whole set of data that's available.
Right.
The fact that you need to bring in their first party data into the digital platforms, and most of what they've been analyzing today is really around these data which I call as transactional data, but the fact that digital trails give you external behavioral data and how do you kind of leverage them to know more about these customers is really the trend that I'm seeing.
Right.
Therefore, how do you really bring this digital trail, which is really what I call as the third party data, how do you kind of get them back into your first party data? And therefore, how do you build this relationship using structured and unstructured data is really where I think clients are seeing value, and clients are saying, tell me how to do it and how can I leverage this?
So I know this question, my next question is out of syllabus, but let's throw this at you and let's see how you deal with it. Let's say if I'm a customer, and how would you really prepare me and my organization to traverse this journey of data? Because organizations aren't, in India especially, aren't really that data centric when they take decisions or the way they consume their data and the way they capture their data. How would you, let's say, prepare me as a CMO or as a CIO to help me speak to my organization and say that we need to take this journey of data?
Let me kind of drop a picture. So if I'm dealing with a bank, mostly as a bank, I know what you do with me, but you really do not know what you do outside my ecosystem.
Right.
So the first thing is, I think that's the opportunity that's waiting to be tapped.
Right.
Right. So for example, I may not take the home loan from you. I may not take the credit card from you. I may not take the car loan from you, but I might still be banking with you.
Right.
So how do I really know Swamy, or how do I know you? Is you are actually looking for a home loan, yet you are a banking customer with me. Therefore, the first party data really is about actually telling me that, okay, there is a EMI that's hitting my,
So that's the
banking
world I
account
already know.
that I already know, but
Right.
I really do not know if Swamy is really searching for, wanting to travel outside.
Right.
Or he's kind of looking at buying a home loan.
Right.
So therefore, how do you use your first party data and start actually looking at it and saying, hey, Swamy seems to be in the market. He's in market for a home loan.
Okay.
That's really what the power of digital gives you.
Right.
Then if I'm telling you that that's available, then the fact that your marketing cost gets optimized, you are using relevant and contextual messaging, you're kind of saying, hey, you are in market, I can help you because you are already my customer, and therefore there is personalization which is at hyperscale. That's really how you need to kind of merge the data from what you know and what you don't know, and how do you bring it together.
Interesting. And talk to me about the fact that let's say I'm the same painful CMO customer of yours, and I say, okay, Swamy, great pitch, but now who's going to execute, my friend? Because ultimately, when the rubber hits the road, it's when I need to see the nuts and bolts and the people who are going to be on the road with me in this journey. So tell me about, you spoke about marketing and the science of marketing and the art of marketing, which is of course the right brain and the left brain. How do you keep that fine balance at Cequity? Because it can be tough. Some customers can be very creative led, some customers can be very data science led. How do you sort of put that fine print on the balance?
I think it's a tough job.
Right.
So the way we look at people in Cequity, I think the first few of them are about actually having right brain. The other few are about having left brain. But if you don't have a whole brain approach to marketing, there is no future.
Right.
So what we really then talk to the CMO is draw up what we call as the personas, saying, is this the way you want to build the experience for this customer?
Right.
Then we go back and then say, what does it take to build this? First is the marketing strategy, the customer personas, and what are the tech systems that you need to integrate.
Right.
And therefore, then my tech guys come in.
So and then we go back the persona and then go to the tech.
Then go to the tech.
Right.
And then you say, for this persona and for this experience, what kind of systems within the organization should it touch?
Perfect.
And therefore, you are actually building what I call as, if in IT services there were this terminology called SIs, we believe we are experience integrators. So SIs to EIs is really how marketing is changing, and that's really the fact that we would kind of run it, manage it, and drive it for our clients.
I have to tell you, that's a great term, XIs. And I've been tracking this market just for about 15 years. And it's agencies like yourself are giving folks like IBM and Accenture the run for their money, because all of a sudden we see acquisitions. For example, Accenture just acquired Droga5 and to feed into Accenture Interactive. So good job of giving them a run for their money, actually. So
absolutely.
So India is also sort of a flush right now with a lot of chatter around AI and ML. And you spoke about how you start from personas and bleed to tech. Where does AI and ML sort of be a part of this journey? And more importantly, with your customers, is AI and ML still a flights of fancy, or is it something which sort of it's already in practice and in implementation?
I would think, so we work with automotive, we work with retail, we work with BFSI, we work with travel hospitality, we work with e-commerce, we work with multiple industries.
Right.
For a very large media and entertainment business, we actually had AI and ML embedded in how you could kind of recommend the right subscription pack for the customer. The customer doesn't need to know that this is AI and ML.
Of course.
Okay. But the underlying analytics using the data was around AI and ML. And so if I came into the mobile app and said, hey, this is really the new pack that I'm recommending for you, it was actually driven out of the AI ML algorithms that got built.
That's right.
But it got presented in the layer, which is a mobile app, or it is on a website, or it's actually on the call center. When I call in, it's available, and therefore it's a recommendation engine that is actually omnipresent in all the channels.
Very pervasive, right?
Very pervasive, and it's about how you really simplify the experience.
Interesting.
I think that's really how AI and ML should be used. I think we are at an early stage. I don't think there are mature use cases that I would see.
Right.
But what I'm seeing is picking up simple use cases, showing success, and then you're able to kind of scale it up. I would think walk, crawl, and then run.
Interesting. AI and ML reminds me of this Intel Inside. Intel is inside, but you don't know if it's inside.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Interesting. So let's talk about your relationship with Adobe. From what I'm told, you are one of the best in the class for Adobe as a partner, and you're really sort of working together very closely, strategically. Give us a sense as to how did this journey start from? Because what I've also been told is that you were earlier sort of working very closely with IBM, and then of course IBM decided to exit that business with the sale of Unica, and now of course you're very closely working with Adobe. From where did this relationship get started to where it has reached today?
I think we have grown with Adobe in a way where I think we have grown with how they have also kind of built in their stacks. Right. So we started off as a campaign partner.
Okay.
That's really where I think the relationship first started.
Right.
So we started with campaigns, but when you see digital, what we realized was campaign alone is not just a single stack that you could kind of deliver value on.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Therefore, what we have today moved on, and in partnership with the Adobe folks, what we've done really is to kind of manage the complete experience. So you're kind of saying, hey, the customer comes to the website, how do you really personalize the experience? If you're at, in the mobile app, how do you personalize the experience? So if you're running an email campaign, how do you really contextualize it? So we've kind of moved with Adobe in the way, they've kind of moved their stacks by actually saying, you know what, if I'm the Experience Cloud, then how do you deliver this Experience Cloud across channels?
Right.
And therefore, we've kind of grown with them, and we have a very, very strong partnership where we kind of start mapping up accounts. We then go back and then say, can I do a blue sky thinking around this business?
Okay.
Look at what business problems we need to solve. Look at business outcomes, and the business outcomes then lead up to saying, okay, these are the kind of stacks that probably will help the client, and then go out and ensure that this gets delivered and you pretty much run it for them.
So essentially you create a symphony in music terminology.
I would think so. I think you need to create and build an orchestration of these multiple point solutions.
Right.
And then you need to bring them together.
This is a pretty musical interview, I must say. So, in the closure, you're an industry veteran. You've been a marketer, advertiser for the longest time. If I was to ask you, let's say 3 key things that CMOs must keep in mind between now and 2020, and which you believe will change their world, what would be these 3 key things?
I think the key point that I would want to kind of leave behind is marketing is at every moment. So earlier the marketing was about messaging, but marketing is about the moment, and the moment happens across the organization and across stakeholders and functions. Therefore, when you are really thinking about marketing, think about marketing at every touch point.
Interesting.
And therefore, it has become a boardroom agenda. It has become a boardroom agenda, right? So therefore, that's to me the most important change. I won't say 3. This, when you start breaking it down and when you peel the onion, then you will realize that you need to kind of go back and see which platforms and which point solutions need to be stitched. Then think about business outcomes, and then look at how do you build value out of that investment. I think these are the ways I would see the change.
But I must share a small story at that point, and that's a great answer, by the way. I was working and consulting with one of India's largest telcos with their CIO on a big data project, and I got a chance to play nanny. So I got a call from the CIO saying, "Can you help get on a call with the CMO? Because when I say big data, he understands bad data. And do you also play nanny sometimes like that?
Yeah. In fact, I call it small data. So I keep saying that, what do you do with small data?
Sure.
And then you kind of see what you do with big data.
Okay, wonderful. Swamy, thank you very much once again
Thanks.
for taking time. And I hope you continue to be the musical sort of instrument and sort of create that symphony in the marketer's world.
Thanks for
in the coming
inviting me.
times.
I had an absolutely brilliant session.
Thank you very
and I look forward to being in touch.
Thank you very much, viewers, for
Thanks.
watching. Thanks for your time again.